The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Imogen stood from her seat, her movements deliberate and unhurried. For 3 cycles, she had listened to their demands, their threats, their carefully constructed arguments about why humanity should surrender its colony worlds. Now, she was done listening. "The Terran Federation," she said, her voice carrying across the vast chamber, "declines your generous offer of negotiation." The word generous dripped with such venom that even the translators struggled to convey its full meaning. High Arbiter. Zexathara's chromatic crest flared in confusion. In 10,000 years of Council history, no species had ever refused to negotiate. War was expensive, unpredictable, and messy. Civilized species talked. They compromised. They found middle ground. Ambassador, Zexathara clicked, mandibles working overtime. "Perhaps you misunderstand. We are offering you a path to peace. Surrender 12 colony worlds, pay reparations for your illegal expansion, and submit to Council oversight. This is remarkably lenient given your violations." Imogen smiled, and something in that expression made the veteran Arbiter's secondary hearts skip a beat. "We understand perfectly," she replied, "and our answer is no. Humanity will not surrender a single world. We will not pay tribute. We will not bow." The chamber erupted. 300 species, each with thousands of years of diplomatic tradition, shouted in every frequency imaginable. This was madness. Humans numbered barely 8 billion across 23 worlds. The Council commanded trillions across thousands of systems. Arlo stood beside Imogen, his hand resting casually near his sidearm, a primitive chemical projectile weapon that had caused much amusement among Council guards. His face remained impassive as he scanned the chamber, noting exits, counting guards, calculating odds the way only a human soldier could. "You condemn your species to extinction," Zexathara warned. Once order had been restored, Imogen gathered her papers, actual paper, another human eccentricity, and placed them in her case. "Perhaps, but we'll do it free." She turned to leave, Arlo falling in step beside her. "Wait." The voice belonged to Councillor Vren, a Cossiter whose species controlled 47 systems. "Surely you can't believe you'd survive? We have fleets that blot out stars." Imogen paused at the chamber door. "Tell me, Councillor, how many wars has the Council fought in the last 1,000 years? 3, Vren answered proudly, "all resolved within standard cycles through negotiated settlements." "Humanity," Imogen said quietly, "fought 47 major wars in our last 1,000 years. We've perfected the art of not negotiating." The door sealed behind them. The war began 6 rotations later. The Council's 7th Fleet, comprising 800 vessels, arrived at the human colony of New Hebrides with overwhelming force. Admiral Cressix expected immediate surrender. He received a transmission instead. "This is Colonel Sarah Chen of the New Hebrides Defense Force. You have entered Terran space without authorization. Leave now or be destroyed." Cressix's translator actually laughed, a function that hadn't been activated in centuries. "Destroyed? By a colony of 3 million defended by perhaps a dozen orbital platforms? Last chance," came Chen's voice. Cressix gave the order to advance. The orbital platforms opened fire, and Cressix learned the first lesson about humans. They didn't build defensive installations. They built weapons platforms disguised as defensive installations. Rail guns that could punch through shields nobody knew could be penetrated. Missiles that didn't just explode but thought, adapted, hunted. The 7th Fleet lost 47 ships in the opening salvo. But numbers told, as they always did. The platforms were destroyed, and landing craft descended toward New Hebrides cities. Cressix expected surrender now, surely. Instead, every human capable of holding a weapon picked one up. Grandmothers wielding hunting rifles, children building improvised explosives. The colonists fought from every building, every street, every sewer. When the Council forces finally took the capital, after 8 brutal weeks, they held ruins and bodies. Every single human dead. But in dying, the colony had destroyed half the invasion force. The Council had never seen anything like it. Civilized species surrendered when defeat was inevitable. They preserved their populations for the negotiated peace that always followed. They didn't fight to the last child. Humans did. The war spread. Council fleets arrived at human colonies expecting quick victories and found themselves in grinding, savage conflicts that violated every principle of civilized warfare. Humans booby-trapped their own homes. They used chemical weapons the Council had banned for millennia. They fought in ways that made no strategic sense, holding worthless positions just to inflict casualties, sacrificing valuable resources for psychological victories. Most terrifying of all, they learned. Every Council tactic used successfully in one battle was countered in the next. Human ships began appearing with modified shields, adapted weapons, stolen technology reverse-engineered and improved with terrifying speed. By the war's second year, Council casualties had reached numbers unthinkable in modern warfare. Species began questioning whether 12 human colonies were worth this bloodshed. Then Arlo struck. While the Council focused on colony worlds, Arlo had led a fleet of human raiders' ships barely held together, crewed by volunteers who knew this was a one-way trip into Council space. They didn't target military installations. They targeted the Council's economic infrastructure, their trade routes, their civilian shipping. Humans, it turned out, made excellent pirates. Trade collapsed. The Council economy, built on 10,000 years of secure commerce, shuttered. Species that had contributed fleets to the war effort suddenly withdrew them to protect their own borders and humanity's industrial colonies. The ones the Council had dismissed as militarily insignificant began producing warships at a rate that defied economic logic. Humans didn't care about profit margins. They built guns instead of food, ships instead of housing. They chose victory over comfort, survival over prosperity. The war reached its third year. The Council had lost 200,000 ships. 47 member species had experienced terrorist attacks on their homeworlds. Attacks carried out by humans who had somehow infiltrated societies across the galaxy. The economy was in free fall. And humanity still refused to negotiate. Imogen sat once more in the Council chamber, but this time she was not standing in the dock. This time, the High Arbiter came to her. "What do you want?" Zexathara asked, and the defeat in that question echoed through the ages. Imogen smiled that terrible smile again. Recognition of all human colonies as sovereign territory. Full membership in the Galactic Council with veto power. Reparations for your illegal invasion. And a formal apology. "This is outrageous." "No," Arlo interrupted, speaking for the first time. "This is negotiation. You should have tried it before." The Council agreed to every demand. As Imogen and Arlo left the chamber this time as equals, not supplicants, Zexathara understood the lesson the galaxy had learned too late. When humans agree to negotiate, they do so in good faith. But when they decline, that's when you should worry. Because humanity had long ago learned a truth the peaceful galaxy had forgotten. The best negotiations happen when your enemy knows you're willing to burn everything down, rather than submit. The galaxy called it barbaric. Humanity called it Tuesday.